Hi, I'm Brady Costigan. I'm 21 years old. I'm an English major at The Ohio State University, and this is part of my literacy narrative. I grew up on a boat. Yeah, I know it sounds a little crazy, but it was pretty normal. Then again, I guess anything starts to feel normal if you do it for long enough. My parents loved reading, so as a child, I was surrounded by books, even when we were at sea. We didn't have much access to the internet, so books really were one of my only distractions. And boy, was I distracted. I was addicted to series. A to Z Mysteries, The Magic Treehouse, and The Hardy Boys were some of my all-time favorites. I'd read and read those books day and night. Those weren't the most important books we had on the boat, though. You see, life at sea called for some very special type of book. Maps, atlases, charts. These table-sized, spiral-bound sheets of lines and colors were what allowed us to live our nomadic, ocean-based lifestyle. I mean, of course, we had autopilot on our navigation system, but that wasn't always 100% reliable. The charts, however, don't lie. The charts could be trusted. So along with my chapter books and novels, I spent time studying the charts. I learned how to read them, interpret them. I learned how to interact with the natural world around me through the nautical maps. I helped my parents plan routes from one island to the next, avoiding reefs and shoals that might stand in our way. Now, most of the plotting I did with my family was easy, open ocean passages, which I could handle. Almost anyone with knowledge of charting could, but I recall one specific day when I must have been about 12 when this happened, yeah. It was a sunny day, and my family was making this short passage from Spanish Wells to Harbor Island, 2 islands in the Eleuthera Keys of the Bahamas. Now, the thing you need to know about Harbor Island is that its only actual harbor is only accessible via a narrow route between the coast and mess of coral reefs surrounding the island of Eleuthera, the northernmost tip of which you had to sail around if you wanted to get to the harbor. The locals refer to this passage as the Devil's Backbone. Now, to make this passage, we needed at least 3 people. 1 to spot on the bow, 1 to map, and 1 to steer. Since it was a sunny day, my dad decided to take up the position of spotter to guide us visually through the shallow corridor. My mom took up the helm to steer the boat, so I was left with the task of making sure we stayed on course. As high tide approached, we set off. We had plotted out an exact path beforehand, and we needed to stick with it. If we made a wrong turn while avoiding a reef, we could run into a dead end, causing us to run aground in one of the deceptive offshoots of the channel. So for the first part of the trip, everything was easy. There was only one clear path, and we passed the waypoints we planned to. But as we rounded the tip of the island and began to head southeast, I hear my dad yell from the bow, guys, there's a reef dead ahead. And I'm thinking, oh no, what reef is he talking about? And I glanced down at the chart, trying to find our exact location to determine what side we were going to take this reef to. I knew that this would be one of those crucial decisions of port or starboard that could potentially run us aground. This thing is approaching quickly, probably about 40 yards, my dad shouted back. I hear my mom start speaking before he finishes. She says, Brady, port or starboard? Her voice sounds nervous, but her eyes are hyper-focused. I remember my eyes being glued to that page, trying to do a rough calculation of where we were based on our speed and the time that we'd rounded the point. I found it. Port, I yelled, and my mom threw the wheel to port, nearly knocking my dad over with the movement of the ship. I leapt out of my seat and raced onto the deck just in time to watch this reef slide past the starboard side of the boat, less than a few feet away. It was funny, in that crystal clear water, I remember seeing the coral on the edge of the reef. It had these wild, multicolored streaks on it from where ships before us had rubbed off bottom paint from too close a call. As we pulled into the harbor, I felt this mixture of relief and accomplishment. Knowing how to read and interpret charts had allowed me to help my family move safely. While I'm glad I have novels and chapter books and literature to keep me entertained, I'm even more grateful for my ability to use navigational tools. This is a type of literacy that can literally take me away to amazing destinations, and I hope that this adventure is one of many that my charts will take me.